keep it quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with this.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Lionstone Podcast. Today I am joined by Matthew and Coach Sam. But before we start, Sam's already... You can just pretend.
I can't believe you drank your Monster without cracking it with us.
Sorry, I have an addiction.
You had a what? You have an addiction. Oh,
Addiction.
yeah. Well, let's not talk about that.
This is not that kind of meeting.
Hey.
So today we are talking
Monsters
about...
Anonymous.
Monster, sponsor me, please.
Yeah, just cut that.
So today we are talking about what?
Let's talk about meal plans. Sam, we were having a very interesting discussion just before about meal plans, and you mentioned that you're pretty hard and fast when it comes to getting people off them and the reason why you do that. So why do you feel like it's important to, one, be on a meal plan to kind of start, but why is it important to get off them?
Yeah, so I believe that obviously when you're coming into the fitness industry, you're wanting to be coached by one of us, whatever the case may be, it's basically just a floodgate into information on what to do. Usually you don't really know what you're doing. A lot of people come to me in terms of nutrition and struggle in that area, and they don't really know how to eat the right food, but also structure their food on a daily basis. So Meal Guide is great just to teach you food structure and how to give you a rundown on when to eat throughout certain times of the day, and also how many meals to eat based on your macro breakdown that you do get. And majority of the time you're probably, well, in my experience, a lot of my girls have been under eating and are quite restrictive with how much they have been eating. So it's all about showing them how much they can eat and how much they need to eat in order to have enough energy to basically, give them day-to-day functioning, but also give them enough energy to train how I would like them to train.
That's it. That's very different, just from like eating and then to like eating and to train.
Yeah, as an energy source, it's a big one. So it's all about, like making sure that they understand food structure and they understand how to structure their food on a daily basis, but it's also giving them the knowledge to understand that they need food for fuel, they need food for energy, and it's going to give them a lot more energy in their day-to-day life, and then also reflect that in their training as well.
I think it's also when you're onboarding to a new coaching system, regardless of who it's with, there's a lot to learn, and not having a meal plan in place is one less thing you need to think about.
Oh, for sure.
At least initially. Because
it is very overwhelming. Like I said, it's a floodgate. So they're coming in kind of, deer in a headlight situation, being like, there is so much to learn. There's so much more to this than just going to the gym. So if we can take that stress away and teach them how to structure their food on a daily basis, even if it's for the first couple of weeks, then they learn a pattern. And then from that pattern, they're able to, with the tools that we provide them, they're able to implement that into their daily life without, having us to guide them.
And what do you find the biggest challenge that people have transitioning out of a meal plan? Time. Let's break that down. What do you mean by time?
A lot of the time, no pun intended.
Please use the word in a sentence. T-I-M-E, time.
From my experience with some of my girls, I think that it's been a case of, well, how do I fit this in terms of my work, in terms of family, in terms of just my day-to-day? How do I fit in this time to sit down and learn it so then I can implement it into my day-to-day?
Is that how to meal plan, or is that like how to calculate macros and stuff like that?
How to calculate macros, essentially. And then also they get quite overwhelmed with like food ideas. So we have a great resource where we've got the ebook that's already in like all of our services. And the food preference list that we send out has heaps of suggestions too. And they have us on the back end giving them suggestions. But I think it's quite overwhelming because they don't have the knowledge of knowing what is what and what it's for. So, for example, like not many people would know, that like, well, I shouldn't say not many people, but some people don't know that pasta is a carb source and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's really, really breaking it down for them in order for them to get the right suggestions and them not feel overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, Pat didn't know pasta was a carb source actually, up until last week.
Yeah, no.
He was like, I'm getting my protein in. Spaghetti.
Spaghetti
Actually does have some protein in it. So.
Better.
Yeah, so
Better.
exactly. So like, there is that aspect of just learning what foods are great for what, because a lot of the time people don't really understand what foods are good for what and getting the most out of that food to maximize their food structure or their macros.
And like, obviously the way we do things, we have people on a meal plan for a couple of weeks, then we transition them out of that. Now, at what point in time would you deem it acceptable to go back on a meal plan for a client? So give us an example without naming names of a client that you've either put back onto a meal plan or like needs to go back on one.
So I've got a few structures that I run by. If my girls are being super compliant and they've done the work and they've read all the things that they need to read and they've taken in things on board and given things a go, and they're just really stressed out on time. It's just an overwhelming week for them, whether it's, work deadlines, family issues, all that sort of stuff. That's when I say, you know what, you're stressed out. You look very overwhelmed. Let me help you out this week. Here's a meal guide. But they're kind of my only two leniencies in terms of giving out meal guides, because my opinion is you will get more sustainable results for a longer time and essentially long term if you're able to teach yourself how to macro track yourself. And it's not restrictive, because when you have a meal guide every single week and it's not changing, or you know what I mean, like, you're going to feel guilty if you eat a bar of chocolate or whatever the case is.
Good point.
Yeah,
that's cool. Thank you. It's funny. I put myself back on a meal plan 2 weeks ago.
Sometimes the rigidity of it is helpful.
Yeah, I find like when I start someone up, and especially when I start taking food seriously, when I'm on a cut or whatever, I find that the speed that you get from doing that, you're just like, oh, quick wins. And then you can kind of ease your foot off the gas in that respect. And once you've got your tracking back down and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's amazing to start a routine again, to create a routine, to create structure, to get your mojo back. It's great to be popped back on a meal guide. So for example, if someone is just like not hitting the mark with their macros and they're slacking off and they can't be bothered prepping or doing those things, implementing a meal guide to your client might be a necessity just to get them back into a routine. But they can't fall off the bandwagon too much that it becomes a habit.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think there's a difference between people having stressful times in their life and just being lazy.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask, where would you draw the line? Being like, no, you're being lazy, or no, you need a break? Both of you.
Like, if it's a simple matter of like, I don't have time, which rubbish. I think everyone has time. It's just a matter of allocating that time. It doesn't take that long to plan out a week's worth of meals yourself. Like, how long does it take you in reality?
Emily and I, we did ours in, I think it was around about 2 hours, and we did 25 meals.
No, to actually not cook it, but plan it.
Like 13 seconds before we leave the house to go food shopping for the week.
There you go. So if you've been provided the education on how to track, then the ability to do it, it's like any other skill. It takes time to build. It's not something that you'll be able to do overnight where you just map out a week's worth of meals in 13 seconds. But at the same time, as a coach, it's our job to teach people how to do this stuff, because I don't expect my clients to be with me till they're 90.
I also am super like, I don't care what I eat, man. Like, for the most part, like Monday through Friday, dinners, breakfast, lunch will all be the same thing 99% of the time, even for like 12 weeks at a time.
Well, yeah, like macro tracking is just another form of meal planning, essentially.
For me, I'm just happy to have the same thing. Like, it's not an issue. But then there's some people who like variety and can't stand the same thing over and over again. My dad, for example, if you ask him to eat the same thing 2 days in a row, he'd be like, dum, 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 dum. Shout out to my dad. He was a chef, and Gordon Ramsay was the apprentice in his kitchen in London.
Really?
Wow.
There you go. Fun little fact. But that's the same thing is like, it's not everyone needs to, like, macro tracking doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm going to have fried chicken tonight and then tomorrow night I'm going to have burgers. That's like...
Sounds like a pretty good meal plan.
It sounds like a pretty good one, but it could be...
Did you see the meal plan that I did before?
It's pretty good. You can have KFC every night. But at the same time, it's like, I macro track all my food, but it's the same food every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean.
It's easier. I don't need to go and like, obviously, like you said, people are different, but I don't think people need to break it down to this whole thing of like where it's a big song and dance about planning your meals.
Yeah. What does your eating look like?
You had a sandwich today or a roll.
Is it called a sandwich? Because that's your name?
Hey.
Sandwich.
Was it the same thing he had?
A banh mi.
Yeah, I
you
just
just
made a
you just
homemade
ordered yours, you
one.
I
lazy fuck.
absolutely deleted 2 banh mis before this.
Yeah, he really did. He saw mine that I was eating and was like, oh, I want one.
I actually sounded like that too.
Yeah.
One,
Oh,
two.
are you one of those?
So usually I'm very, very anal on routine and structure. I've had my own personal hormonal issues. So when I went into my build, which was a few months ago that I went into this, eating a lot more macros was quite hard on not only my digestive system but also my hormones and stuff, and because I was trying to regulate them and all that sort of stuff, I was getting a lot of acne. So
Really?
Yeah, I suffered a lot of acne for the past year.
Do you mind sharing why?
Yeah, so I actually came off the pill after 12 years. So
Shit.
Yeah,
Man, I could never imagine just like being like, I was on medication for 12 years.
it was
Respect.
Yeah, I really didn't realize how much of an effect it was actually having on me in general. When I came off it, it was the best thing I ever did, and I'll refuse to go on it ever again.
What kind of effect was it having on you?
I didn't realize how depressed I was. It felt like a
Even the way that you're saying this, I didn't realize how depressed I was.
No, 'cause it was just ridiculous. But it felt like a cloud was always on top of my head, and I remember specifically all the time being in the car driving and being like, I want to cry, but there's nothing for me to cry about. Like, isn't that so bizarre? Like, I felt the urge of wanting to bawl my eyes out, but I had nothing to cry over.
Wow.
Yeah, so there was that aspect, low libido, hectic mood swings, which I kind of still have, but but not to the extent
Ladies
that I had.
and gentlemen, if you hear a thud, that's just Pat's head hitting the table.
Yeah, it's not to the extent that I had. It was very quite erratic and out of nowhere, whereas now they're just a little bit more controlled. So there's that aspect too, and then it band-aided all of like my teenage hormonal issues that you get when you're a teenager. So I didn't get acne when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager.
So it like delayed it.
Yeah. Once I got off it, because it was all synthetic hormones, once I got off it, my body was like, well, I need to regulate somehow. And then it kind of all just happened at once.
No shit. And what
Yeah.
age were you when you came off?
25.
And that would be like pretty confronting to happen at 25.
Yeah, it was a lot, and I'm kind of relieved I was single at the time, because it would have been a lot for my partner to take in, because there's so many aspects that you're learning again, and then you're going through stages of acne and stuff. You never had it before, so you get really self-conscious about that. So I was dealing with a lot of things, and a year on, I was still dealing with those things. Everything was regulated internally, but it was just like getting the toxins out of my body, and that was through my acne. So I knew when I was getting into a build, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be eating a lot more carbs. I'm going to be eating a lot more food, and I know that this affects my body acne-wise. So I dropped dairy completely, and I had a specific meal guide that I made with my coach that he had used on other clients with hormonal issues that worked for them, and I just amended it to what I would like, essentially, and just made sure that was okay, because as a coach I feel like I'm good at doing that, and then I've been on that since. So I've just been eating the same thing, but lately I haven't really been, because my acne hasn't really flared up or anything like that. So I've been a little bit more lenient with what I have been eating, because I'm in a build phase, and like I'm trying to enjoy it for as long as I can, because I'm going to go into a cut soon. But usually when all of those issues kind of flare up, it's strict eating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, eating the same thing is an interesting one, because there's like, I know a lot of people don't eat the same thing every day, but a lot of like hormonal, all that kind of stuff, to try and troubleshoot your body, like you have to give it the same inputs over a consistent period of time. Because, for example, like if you're someone who's dealing with like digestion issues. But every second day you're eating like a different kind of pasta.
Or having 6
Yeah.
Pepsi Maxes.
Or having 6 Pepsi Maxes. That's a low blow. I actually don't have any digestive issues. Thank you very much.
Lucky you.
But yeah, like being able to eat the same thing every day is powerful. So being able,
100%.
it
You know
gives
what
you that
works.
opportunity to see what is going on with your body. Like,
Yeah.
what is actually happening here? What's an actual problem, or is this consistently just caused by food? Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
you cut out dairy. Why'd you do that?
Well, I was getting a lot of acne from it. So I even have plant protein as well. So I'm not a vegan, but I have plant protein because
It's gonna growl at you then if you.
so I have plant protein.
chicken.
I have plant protein. I have almond milk. I do. Basically, I've cut out, like, when I say I've cut out dairy, I'll like have a little bit of cheese here and there because I love cheese.
I will have a single egg.
Well, I actually am intolerant to eggs now too.
Sacrifice it once a week to the gods.
So anyway, it flares up my acne. So it's just kind of like I eat what I know works for me.
Yeah.
But when girls do come to me, especially when they kind of say their dietary requirements, or they'll come to me being like, I am so bloated, blah, 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 blah. I'll say before, because it's usually like around a week before they start with me, or we have our consult a week before they start. So I just say, you know, create a food diary and write down all the foods that you're eating, and then write down and write a comment if you feel like you've had a flare up after you've had that food.
That's a powerful one.
Yeah. So then we can kind of navigate it and narrow it down and figure out what they're eating that could potentially be the issue, and then just avoid it.
Yeah, how would you ever do you plan on kind of never adding dairy back in?
Well, I have cheese here and there lately, and it's been pretty good. I haven't had an acne flare, but I do a lot of things on the other side of that spectrum to ensure that I don't have acne flares. So I have a lot of holistic things that I like to do to ensure that I can narrow that down.
Sacrificing one an egg a week. I knew it.
So I have things like spearmint and raspberry leaf tea almost every night. I do so many different things. It's crazy just how much I do. I have so many different vitamins that I take, all that sort of stuff. But I don't think I'm going to implement dairy again just because of what it has done to my body. And I feel a lot lighter in a sense that like I'm not eating dairy so much. Miss feta, but like...
Oh, I couldn't give up feta.
But I guess it's all about willpower and being disciplined, which is something you learn when you do this.
Have you ever tried like when you say dairy, was it predominantly you were having milk, or were you having like...
So ages ago I was drinking milk, but I was drinking milk, and Cocoa Pops just aren't the same without normal milk, but you just deal with it.
Have you ever tried like raw milk? So like not pasteurized, not heat pasteurized milk?
No.
Like, yeah, so
I
this is kind of fuck. So straight from the cow. Like,
Yeah, nah.
like treated cold without being pasteurized. Shut up, Pat. I had always not... What are you laughing at?
I just had this mental image of you waking up and sucking a cow.
Boys,
Ladies and gentlemen, I suck cow teats.
oh my God.
Don't cut that out.
No, I won't. Don't worry.
Anyway, moving to going from standard supermarket milk to like cold treated milk instead of like pasteurized and not heating up and all that kind of shit. I found it was significantly better for me. However,
does it taste different?
Oh hell yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of bite to it. But that for me personally, for the first like 2 weeks of drinking it, because it has so much going on in there.
Yeah.
It was kind of harsh on my stomach. I was like, I don't know if I should be doing this, but like gave it 2 weeks and I felt fantastic. Anyway, I'm just talking about cold cow milk and being made fun of.
It's like an
It's
adaptation
all about
thing,
getting used to things. Yeah. Adaptation is a great way to put it. And that's with a lot of things, even just implementing a structure that you had before. Like, for example, I don't know, you don't respond well to gluten, so you have to take gluten out, and that's an adjustment. You just got to adapt to it, and then you eventually get used to it and your body gets used to it.
How do you think like meal plans, meal guides, all that kind of stuff has been impacted by challenge culture?
Oh, dramatically. And I think because they're under such extremities, so it's such a short time, there's such an extremity around how much macros they're consuming, how much they're moving. You can only imagine just how do I put this? Processed things could be.
Pressure as well.
Yeah, and just the quick fixes on the meal guide, because they have to get something done at such a fast rate that it would just be a little bit unhealthy.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Well, first and foremost, before I go any further, shout out to the Areta boys, the only guys doing challenge as well.
That's it. Costa and Matt.
Yeah. Shout out to you boys.
Shout out to the boys. But yeah, I found that people who have come to me after doing some kind of challenge, whether it just be like an online one where they just buy a meal plan, they stick to it religiously for 12 weeks. Usually it's the first time they've ever encountered a meal plan. And then they seem to think that fix is always to go back to that same meal plan because it worked once.
Well, it's like the buy and the result.
Yeah.
So what does Ree say? Something like the motivation is high, and it's like this motivation loop.
Yeah, the buy-in is high, and when you get the result, you associate the result with the
method.
Yep.
Correct.
When in reality, if you followed anything that was structurally sound for your caloric targets, you will lose or gain weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just depends on what that kind of approach. But what I was getting to was, you obviously work with females, and they seem to be sold challenges a fair bit, and as this is the fix for all of your issues. But you even just listening to you speak now, you listed off a whole bunch of things that you did in order to prep yourself just to go into a build.
Yeah.
And think about that. And then if you turn around and put yourself into a cut where essentially you are killing yourself, you are, you are killing yourself, and people just do that on the whim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think that's impacting? How do you think that's impacting people your age?
Straight off the bat, I think from a online aspect, having that quick fix of this is the result and you're going to get it so quickly is destroying people's mental health. It's
in what way?
Just how they see themselves and how they compare themselves to other people. So I will get, for instance, clients come in maybe from a challenge background, or just by seeing things online and just seeing the quick fix of this to that. And they'll look at themselves and they're only 4 weeks in and be like, well, why haven't I seen such a dramatic change? What's wrong with me? Am I doing something wrong? How come I'm eating this much? Should I be on less? I don't want to eat this much. Why am I doing this? And they don't realize that putting themselves under such stress internally is going to do more damage than good, and doing it in a sustainable way, in a healthy way. Yes, it's going to take a little longer, but you're going to be able to maintain that so much more than if you were doing it in such a dramatic way.
I think what you mentioned there, the quick fix, we all say a quick fix would be nice, but no one really ever defines what a quick fix is. So in your words, what would be too fast to attack losing 10 kilos?
Very, very minimal macros, just excessively minimal, and just excessive overtraining.
Yeah. So 1,200 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah. And I've heard ridiculous macro numbers that are just so minimal. And I'm just how are you awake or even alive? I would never imagine putting my clients on what I have heard. And it just terrifies me that there's such a gray area around deficits and fat loss, and people are getting away with very far extreme things because people don't know any better.
Yeah.
And also because they're seeing a result quite quickly. They're like, well, this just must be the way that it is, and this just must be how it's done, when essentially they're killing themselves.
Well, something you just said there was that results take a little bit longer, but I think they're going to take a lot longer because good results take time. Yeah. And if you're using extreme measures to get extreme results, they're not going to last long. You're not going to have those results.
Extremely fast results go extremely fast.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. And if you think about just how fatigued the client would be if you are in a extreme deficit.
17,000 step goal.
Could you imagine just how fatigued your body is going to be in the gym? Could you imagine how fatigued your form is going to be? Can you imagine all of the things that you're putting your body under, where you're not going to get the most out of your execution when you're training? You're not going to get the most out of yourself in terms of mindset. Like, there's so many other avenues that people don't realize that actually affect your progress. And if you are absolutely thrashing yourself with minimal macros and all that sort of stuff, like, you're not going to get the most out of anything. And yes, you can get really, really defined abs and, you know, whatever you want to do in 4 or 5 weeks, but you are going to be absolutely exhausted and your muscles essentially are going to cop it.
This is why bodybuilding is such a fucking hard sport.
Yeah.
It's 24/7, 365 days a year.
24/7, 365, no off days.
It's just kind of like people see the physical results on a camera, or, you know, you've posted it online and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. You've done such a good job in such a short time. But then you think about it and it's like, if you're doing that for 4 weeks to 8 weeks and you're absolutely thrashing your body that way, like, your muscles are absolutely going to cark it. And that involuntary fatigue that you will eventually feel is going to result in an injury of some sort, or you're just going to be so exhausted you're going to do something wrong in the gym and you're going to hurt yourself.
You're going to drop a 20 kilo plate on your toes.
I don't think challenges are comparable to bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is a sport.
Oh, for sure. And you willingly know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Or at least you have an idea.
You should, at least. Feel free to challenge me on this, but I don't think people care about anything that was just mentioned there.
Oh, I'm not going to challenge you. I'm going to agree with you.
Because that's not what they're sold. Like, the difference between coaching and a challenge is, it's like, you're sold a challenge.
Oh, yeah. You sold the dream.
You're sold that you look like this in this amount of time, whatever amount of weeks it is, doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, to get from point A to point B, they need to use extreme measures. And like we said before, extreme results go extremely quickly. And because it fucking pisses me off.
Get emotional.
Let me take a minute.
Because, I want to talk about...
You need some raw cow's milk to calm down.
The difference being is, like, a lot of them, there's lack of education, and the education is bare minimal. To like what you said before, Matt and Costa, I've seen their education stuff. And
it's very good.
It's fucking good.
It's very good.
But 99.99% of the others, there's zero education in there. And if it is, it's the bare minimum. But don't worry about any of that. We're just here for the before and after.
We're just here for the result. And at the end of the day, we live in a results-based society. We live in an instant reward society where you can spend $13 and have thousands of movies on your computer screen.
Well, you're right. I still do think we're in the results business, because coaching is about getting a result. But there are two very different ways to get a result.
And there's the right way, then there's the fast way. And yes, that's what I like. I don't know if you know this. I lost a lot of weight really quickly. Like, I lost like 30 kilos in, like, I want to say like 16 weeks or something. Like, insanely quick.
Crazy.
Through 2 cardio sessions a day.
Yeah.
Like,
just excessive overtraining.
And like 1,200 calories. And I'm 100 kilos. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
insane.
wild.
Yeah. So, like, I've been through that, and I know what the kind of the fatigue, the accumulation fatigue, all that kind of stuff. And just out of nowhere, just like falling asleep and just all that kind of shit. And that's the be all and end all why I got into coaching. But I didn't give a fuck about my body back then.
No.
I didn't give a fuck about if I had acne. I didn't give a fuck. I had a goal, and I was driven to it.
Get the scale weight down.
Get the scale weight down, because I had something I needed to hit, and I needed to get there, and with whatever means necessary, I was going to do it. And then it got to a point when it didn't matter anymore. I was like, fuck, I just butchered myself. I just butchered muscle that I'd spent years putting on. I just butchered, like, my relationship with food. Now I had to work back from the start and not 100%. Feel guilty eating a slice of pizza.
Yep.
So, like, at the end of the day, like, is it worth it to drop 8 to 10 kilos in 6 weeks? Or is it worth it to fucking put 6 months into it?
I think there's a difference between the two, in a sense that if someone is like 130 kilos would be morbidly obese.
Thank you very much. I'll take it as a compliment.
I think
Was morbidly obese. Now I'm just obese.
I definitely think though that there's an element to that where someone who is in an unhealthy situation, extreme measures sometimes need to be taken.
Yeah, well, like what's more unhealthy, being 130 kilos or having low calories for a bit?
Correct. But at the same time, the objective there is to make a person overall healthier for a longer period of time.
And I'm definitely overall healthier. So even if this is going to be controversial, even looking back, I would still have done the fast weight loss in order to get me into the position of what I know now.
Yeah, well, you know that now.
I had to make those mistakes. Yeah, I had to make those mistakes.
You had to experience it.
Yeah, I had to have a story. I had to have a, oh, fuck, I did it the wrong way for me then to find out the good way. Because if I didn't, I would not have known what the good thing was if it slapped me in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't know that when they sign up for challenges though, because that's not what they're told.
And then that's what
Sell
I guess
the dream.
The repercussions of that is them then scooping out a coach, or scoping out, I should say, not scooping, scoping out a coach. Which coach will I get today?
In the beach. It's the best little coach I've ever seen.
So that's what they do. They will scope out a coach and
Bringing in a sand bucket next time. I'm gonna call her Sandmantha. So she can have a sandwich.
all these boys do is pick on me.
That's a lie. You were making fun of me before for having 2 banh mi's.
I guess that what I was trying to get at was that's going to be kind of the catalyst of them scoping out a coach and being like, this is what I've done. I feel like this could be not the best path to go down for a long period of time. How do we go about it?
You want to know how to find a really good coach?
Just by scooping.
And no, if you've done, this is legit, right? If you've done a challenge and you tell them your experience and you interview 4 or 5 coaches, watch the coach's face reaction. So if you're like, oh, I did an 8-week challenge, I did this. And if they make this face, well, they just like look like they're sucked on a sour gummy.
Yeah, or they try to like
dollar signs. See you later.
They try their hardest to like hide a sigh.
Exactly. They're just like,
oh no, I don't hide it. I make it known.
Yeah, well, that's a really good thing because if a coach sees that you've done a challenge, that's an opportunity for you to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I definitely and look, I don't know if this is ethical, but it's a question that I like to ask with people that I do have a consult with when they say, oh, I've done a challenge or I'm on 1100 macros or calories or whatever. I'm like, oh, are you prepping for a comp?
And what's the answer 99% of the time?
Literally, I have not had a yes yet. So it's like, what is your reason for that? Like, oh, well, I want to lose 4 kilos or 5 kilos. And I'm like, there's so many different avenues you can go down where you can still get 4 or 5 kilos dropped on that scale without having to eat 1100 calories a day.
I find it so fascinating that people come to us and they're like, yeah, I want to lose 4 or 5 kilos. But it's not they want to lose 4 or 5 kilos. Because I could put you in a sauna and you could lose 4 or 5 kilos in a couple of hours. Right?
Yeah.
It's, I want to feel more comfortable in my skin.
Well, that's, I think the starting interest is I want to lose X amount of kilos. But then when you deep dive and you really get them talking, it's, no, wait, hold on. I just want to feel happy in my own skin. I want to feel comfortable and confident in my own skin. And that's kind of where it goes to.
Well, that's what they prey on.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it is prey, but it is also power. Because if you uncover that with your clients and you say, all right, well, it's
not unethical as long as the approach that you're doing is appropriate.
Yeah, and you look at that and say, cool, that's our goal. You want to feel more confident, so then we're going to look at that. And we look at, that may look like you putting on 2 kilos of muscle, which is a fair bit, but like putting on a couple of kilos of muscle and maybe the scale's only down 2 kilos, but you look drastically different. So that's where I think it's pretty powerful for this generation to like look at your goals. Yes, scale is always going to be daunting, but look at it in a way that is, I'm doing this for the best version of myself.
Yeah. 100%.
And the best version of me can be 66 kilos, wherein I thought I wanted to be 63. I'll never be 66 kilos because that's almost half of me. But yeah, like that's what it is. And I think it's an important conversation to have because the quick fix is just quick shit.
Yeah, and
That's it. You summed it up, Matthew. Quick shit is what it is.
it is 100%, and I think it's a seasonal thing as well.
A seasonal thing.
Yes, so especially coming into the warmer months, where
Are you in the same Melbourne as me?
well,
It's different in Mornington, mate.
yeah,
Is it? No, Frankston South. Frankston South. I asked, I said to Sam, I was like, would you ever move to the west side? And she's like, nah, I hate Williamstown. I love Frankston.
To be fair, where did you live again? Sunbury.
Sunbury, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's like the equivalent
Shankbury.
of Melbourne, or the western suburbs, Frankston.
Frankston's actually getting gentrified, actually.
Yeah, it's actually so great.
It's actually expensive.
But
I'm pretty sure that
let's not tell the stalkers where I live. So,
she lives
I'll
in
post her
Diamond
address
Creek.
right here.
She lives in Eltham. She went to St. Helena Secondary College.
There you go.
Wait a minute, that was me.
did you actually?
Hell yeah.
Oh, I loved that school. I used to verse them in basketball all the time.
Were they
Really?
any
Yeah.
good?
Me?
No, were they any good?
Oh, yeah.
Were you on the team?
No. No, I didn't play basketball in high school. I played in.
Yeah.
Oh no,
You probably
I
did.
I played in primary school.
Oh, why not high school? You're not that good.
No, I was fat. Thanks for
even
asking. No. It's even worse. It's not bad to be fat. Jeez, come on the podcast and make fun of Matt.
No.
I-
Anyway, what I was getting at is
Matt's shit at basketball.
well, that. No,
I can dunk.
you probably could.
No, I can.
Yeah, I bet.
Do you want to finish your sentence?
Yeah, I would love that.
Very
I would love
nuts.
that. I think with us women particularly, we're forward thinkers a lot of the time. We like to plan. We like to think ahead. So if we're at this point in time where guys are probably just worried about today and they'll figure out
I
the
think
next
about
day.
this far in front of my nose.
Us girls are like, oh my gosh, summer is 3 months away. Like, I need to look good for New Year's or blah, 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 blah. So that's when quick fixes could potentially come into play or be implemented in their regimes because they just want to get something done quickly.
Like a wedding.
Yeah, or even a wedding or a birthday, whatever the case is. I do think that that's when quick fixes are introduced to them, and that's when I think they're sold to people a lot more, especially coming into warmer months where they can kind of prey on, well, summer's coming, like blah, 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 blah. And that's when people kind of get sucked into the vortex of those quick fixes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every company will do that. Like every industry,
Yeah.
every company.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to basketball for a second. Did you play basketball in high school?
I've played basketball since I was 6 years old.
Do you still play?
Not anymore.
Okay,
Way
so
too
you don't
short.
play basketball.
Okay, well, I stopped when I was 20.
You'd be a good short point guard. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I played rep from 12 years old to 19.
Now we just need to
20.
explain that to Pat. So rep basketball is like competitive WoW.
I understand what basketball is.
Yeah, but do you know what rep basketball is?
Not really. No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
Just competitive.
Is it?
were you on Friday nights?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
Friday night of basketball, rep basketball, I was always so jealous of because I was never good enough to play.
Aw.
Don't pity me. Don't you pity me over there. But
Yeah, no, it was majority of my life. Basketball is my life. Well, it was my life.
why don't you play anymore?
I'm way too short. I wanted to go pro. That wasn't happening.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, Steph Curry's short in comparison to other tall human beings who play
I'm
basketball.
5 foot. And you have to
Yeah.
be extremely, extremely skilled with the ball if you are very short. And that I was not. I was just great at like fast breaks, sprinting, and cherry picking for a layup. And a 3-pointer here and there.
Capitalizing on everyone else. I'll take this. We
Thank
call
you
that a
so
KS.
much. Yeah. So I just kind of thought, okay, not the avenue I'm going to go down. And then that's when I got into gym because I'm like, well, I still need to do something with my
Oh,
life.
no shit.
Yeah. So
Would you ever go back and play?
I would love to. I really, really would. But I just don't think that I have the stamina for it anymore.
You don't? Oh, well, you build that back up.
I know, but I love weight training too much to
Okay.
want to do endurance training or like do stuff that's quite endurance based.
Cardio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. So obviously, I get my cardio done and whatnot, but I just don't know if I would want to jeopardize my muscle development thrashing basketball
Gains.
3 times a week or whatever the case may be.
An injury.
Yeah. And also risk of injury. I think if I had another injury, I would like crumble into a fetal position and just shake.
Have you had any injuries?
Yeah.
Are you being serious right now?
Oh, you did. I knew about your ankle.
I've got a sprained ankle as we speak, and I've got a subluxed rib.
I didn't know about the
Wow.
rib.
You know about the rib. I've told you.
Oh.
But yeah, I've dealt with injuries heaps because I'm
Yeah.
reckless.
In one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly reckless when it comes to any kind of sport, and
Yeah.
it's just my personality. Like I've broken my arm skateboarding. I've done heaps of shit.
I've never broken
Yeah.
a bone.
Really, you can
Me
join the
neither.
exclusive Reddit thread. No bones broken.
I
There's
don't-
actually a Reddit thread for
I've
people.
torn
who haven't
all my ligaments in my ankles twice on each ankle, and done
Basketball?
crazy stuff. Yeah, and touch rugby.
You play rugby
Yeah,
too?
I was on the Vic team.
No shit.
Yeah,
Why'd you give that up?
It wasn't as popular at the time. It's becoming
probably
a lot
still
more.
not.
Oh no, it's becoming a lot more popular now. But it was kind of like I needed to make a decision where I wanted to invest my time more.
Yeah.
And I went down the basketball path, which was a lot of my life. Like even like I did little athletics for a long time, and then I had to choose between those two.
Shit, you were sporty.
Yeah, I was sporty my whole life, which helps me in this aspect. But very, very, very injury prone
For
now.
anyone out there, like you don't have to be sporty to,
No.
to end up in
No,
training, because
no.
I indulged in bacon for a long time.
Yeah, no, everyone, I think gym's great because all walks of life
Yeah.
come to the one space to better themselves for themselves. So you meet a variety of different people. You are introduced to so many different goals. And it's really exciting just to see everyone kind of come together, but you don't have to be sporty your whole life to get into training.
Like me.
It was just, I was just the
Getting into
tomboy.
training because you're self-conscious? Ka-chow!
I was just like the tomboy growing up, like just played, basketball, footy with the boys every
Do you
so
reckon
much.
that impacted like your ability, like your work ethic? Do you reckon like playing
Yes.
sports like taught you how to push the needle?
Correct. Yeah, 100%. It's taught me how to be disciplined. Like there were no excuses with rope training or basketball camps or whatever the case is. It was like you push through. So I've definitely learned that from like a training aspect and me training myself personally, but then also I'm obviously compassionate with my clients, but there is another side of me, I guess a twin you could say, that is always like, you can push harder, let's go. So
Heavier.
yeah, so there's
Heavier.
definitely two sides of me where they'll get the compassion that they need, but they'll also get the drive to be like, you can probably push yourself harder, or you can do better.
You can be better.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Because that's what we're doing, right? We're trying to get them to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
So you have to put your foot down at some point and be like, this is where discipline needs to come in. I can't do it for you. You have to implement it yourself. Because we can, I like to say this, and I say this to my girls a lot of the time, is I like to think of coaching as a boxing ring, and they're the boxer.
holy shit, she's punching her client.
Can you just let me finish?
Oh yeah, but you set me up for so many quick
I
gags.
know. But I like to say that, they're the boxer and I'm the boxing coach. Like I'm on the sideline of the boxing ring, and I'm, yelling all these things and telling you all of these things to do and providing you with a skill set and all that sort of stuff. But it's up to them to
Bash the other
box.
person up.
Yeah, it's up to
I
them
thought
to
you
be in the
meant like
ring,
a-
and it's up to them to box the round.
I thought you meant like a coach, like where you got the mitts. You're like 1, 2.
No,
One, two, one.
like I'm
That
actually
works
on the
too.
side. So like it's up to them to be in the ring and actually box the round.
We forgot to mention this at the start. Sam, why couldn't Reese make it to today's podcast?
Yeah, why couldn't he?
He was feeding his turtle.
Oh, not the turtle. This week was a turtle.
Oh, fucking
Yeah.
turtle.
Goats, turtles, marathons. He's
Yeah.
won that marathon.
Has he
by the
had
way.
the Egg and Spoon Race Championship?
Yeah, no,
He's
he
also the
told
champion
me.
of
He
that too.
told me he had
He's
to
actually
go.
the champion shoelace tire as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me he had to go feed his turtle. I was like, oh, shit.
Did he get an axolotl?
They have olives for eyes.
Maybe he's still at Phillip Island at the beginning of the marathon with the
With the
penguins.
penguins.
So
Oh shit.
yeah, that's what I like to tell the girls, especially when I'm trying to implement some sort of structure, like, willpower and discipline and stuff like that. I'm like, I can teach you all of these things and I'm on the side of the ring, but it's up to you to go into the boxing ring and actually box the round. I can't do it for you.
And punch someone's head in. I find
Yeah.
that sports, it seems to be this common denominator between like my clients that can push and the other ones who need to be like, that's something that we work on and like we teach that. So it's interesting that obviously you train hard and you've had that background as well. Like especially when because I played sports growing up, but not as a teenager, so not as like a growing adult.
Yeah.
And like I didn't know how to like go RPE 10 or RPE 9.
Yeah, it definitely pushed you to your limits, and it was like if that was your limit, you have to push harder. It was a matter of that kind of vibe. So I guess I have the mental stamina to implement a lot of the things and train hard and do all those sorts of things and go through the ups and downs and the adversity that you kind of come across when you're doing a build or you're in a deficit.
Or you're just in maintenance.
Yeah, or you're just in maintenance. Every phase has a difficulty to it, especially from a mental side. And also it's just kind of like sticking with a routine can be tiring at times. So it's about, just using what you've learnt through having to push through and utilize all the skills that you've learnt to just make sure that you're getting the best out of it for yourself.
Yeah, as I said, like I had to be taught that. I had to be taught how to push the needle. I had to be taught how to like stick to something. Yeah. And it was tough, but mind you, it can be taught. So anyone who's out there who didn't play sport, it is not all doom and gloom. But there you go.
There you go. Should we wrap it up here?
I reckon we should wrap it up here. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to say, Sam?
I think that if you are considering a quick fix or you're considering being on a meal guide or a meal plan every single day, I would just reconsider your options and think about what you're getting from it and how that knowledge is going to benefit you in the long term. So if you aren't getting any knowledge to your meal plans or to a challenge or whatever the case may be, reconsider what you're getting out of it and what you're paying for. You want to be educated in a way that's going to benefit you long term and forever, because it is your health that you're investing in. You're investing in yourself. So just take time and really make sure that you're getting the most from what you are paying for and what you're wanting.
Terrific. Do you want to do the outro?
Sorry?
You can do the outro if you want this time.
Do the outro?
You can do it.
What's the outro?
Then you're just going to make me do it.
You say it and I'll do it next time.
Don't know the outro.
Like, follow, subscribe, share. If you found value in this podcast, please share it with the top 3 people that you think would also find value from it. If you really enjoyed it, take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram story and tag us. If you tag me specifically, I'll send you a video of me winking back at you. But thanks so much, and rate us for 5 stars on Spotify and
subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Thanks for having us.
Just do all the stuff.
Just do it all.
Which button do I press to send us out?
Any one of them. It doesn't matter at this point. That's the intro. That's all we got there.
Oopsie.
Bye.